Okay, so this might look like a lot, but I can explain. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So I realized in my last video that I didn't really introduce who I was, so I thought I would just give like a little introduction to myself and where I'm at the moment. So my name's Techo. I'm an emerging artist from Adelaide, and my practice revolves around mostly abstract painting with some sculptural elements. My paintings themselves tend to focus on science fiction and video games as like a form of escape. I'm very interested in world building, but where I differ from other science fiction artists who maybe paint realistic worlds with lots of like alien designs and intricate spaceships, mine's a lot more abstracted. I pull ideas from like abstract art as well as graphic design and product design, especially a lot of like 1990s video games and space age furniture. And I'm really interested in how I can create this very abstract and fluid science fiction world. One of the problems I have with our current world is that everything's so prescribed, and even in these science fiction worlds, we often recreate those same sort of rules, and I want to make everyone in my world completely free from rules. And also I realize I'm an artist, not a dictator, so I don't think that my artistic world of escape has to make sense or be logical. It can just be more fluid. But aside from being a painter, I've also really gotten into journaling and planning over the last 3 years. And I just want to show you my current setup. So this is my Hobonichi cousin Avec, July to December in A5. You may have seen this in last week's video. I was able to get a clear case. The Midori clear A5 cases actually fit really well on the Avecs, which I'm really happy about because I already got some marks on the back here. But I was able to clean it and get this case. So very happy. Thankfully as well, Milligram just opened in Adelaide. So now I've got a boutique place to get some more stationery rather than just big box stores. So I've also decorated by adding a postcard from when I was in Hallstatt in Austria, as well as Ben Nevis, which is the tallest point in Scotland and the UK, which I hiked last year. For a while I've traveled and I really enjoyed it, but I've often found that I don't look back at the photos I took or reminisce much. I'm kind of always focused on the next thing. And sometimes I think it's a bit of a shame. So recently I've been able to update my phone. So my background is like landscape photos I've taken while traveling. And that's a really great way for me to kind of remember the travels and the things I've been doing in my life. And it's a good way to kind of ground and comfort me. And I decided to add these postcards that I purchased while traveling in Europe last year, kind of within this, just to kind of set the pace of something nice and grounded. And it's not especially beautiful or even straight, but for now, this will do. I already showed this off very recently, so there isn't a lot of changes, but I just thought I would show a couple of the new paintings I'd worked on. So, when I was talking about these kind of abstract science fiction worlds, these are some of the ideas. I also like to think of them maybe as like rips in space and time, kind of like when a TARDIS is floating through space. There's also these kind of elements of like kind of action and power, maybe like power waves or like ripping of space and time. A lot of different elements that I really enjoy and think are interesting. So my plan is to do, for at least 1 month, do daily paintings. That was before I got my new job. And my new job has been a big adjustment period and it's been kind of stressful. But one thing I'm really trying to kind of do differently, often I find with a lot of my goal setting, I'll set ambitious goals when I'm feeling when my life's in a very specific moment. But then as life changes, suddenly the way in which time flows through my days changes. And now that I'm working almost full time, plus a second job and doing the art, little things like journaling have become a little less important. And I'm just learning to kind of roll with the punches rather than fighting it. These paintings have really just allowed me to be a bit more kinder to myself. And yeah, so overall, I'm really, really happy with where this is going. I don't have as much time for it as I would really like, but I want to keep going and just keep having fun. I may do a full video later showing off more of those paintings for a month and just see kind of how I feel and talk more in depth both about the product and the process. But that was my daily planner. Next up, we've got the Moleskine large ruled line in expanded, so the nice thick one. So I won't actually be showing off any of the contents of this, as this is my journal that I use for a lot of it's really personal. It might not necessarily be interesting or scandalous, but I do find it a little bit embarrassing, and I definitely need a place to just really express myself. For the most part, I use it as a combination of a commonplace book, so writing down kind of ideas and new information. I also use it for self-reflection. I also use it for to-do lists, and I really just use it for anything. I rule up margins, and then in the margin, I'll draw a star if what I'm writing about is in regards to my art. I really liked the huge size of it. And it lays flat now, but at the very start, it was a bit challenging and a bit kind of like trying to write on this page while you've got so much of the other side awkward. So I often had books under here to help me write at the start. I really appreciate this. I don't know if I'll get this exact same one again, just because it's a bit too big, which is ironically the reason why I brought it. But I've really enjoyed it, and it's been really helpful both as a product and as a way just to decompress in the evenings. Sometimes I just want to write about all the things that are going on and how I feel about them or how I'm reacting to them. But it's definitely a therapy notebook, as well as just general musings and to-do lists. So keeping with more of the journaly sort of ones, actually this one's probably the bridge between my journaly journals and my artistic practice. So this is the Hobonichi 5-year diary in A6. So this journal is really exciting. So you write in it every day for 5 years. The twist is on each day of the year, you write on the same page. So for example, on the 4th of January, I'll write a small entry every day. And eventually, I'll have 5 years per page to look at. I've really loved this a lot. I think it's actually something that gets better with time, because it's almost like you get to kind of see a moment of what you were thinking about previously. So sometimes they're really long, where, lots of different things happened, but other days they can be really, really banal. So just like real life. I'm kind of thinking that I might do a full flip through at the end of this year to show off 3 years worth of entries and kind of where it's going. Overall, I find it really refreshing and a really great tool. Some tidbits if you're going to do a 5-year journaling project. Holy crap, it's a lot. It's every day for 5 years. I'm very exhausted. So I took off all of June and some of July this year and just took a real break from it just to see what I want. Now, sometimes I'll fill it in every day. Other times I'll kind of do it once or twice a week. A really good tip, if you need to write your daily entries and you've kind of forgotten what you got up to that day, some really good places to look at your calendars to see what you were doing that day. Check your camera rolls and your bank statements. Those are the 3 places I normally find out what I was doing that day. Same with social media posts or messages to friends or emails. They're all really helpful. I have one entry in here where I, for the love of God, could not figure out what I was doing on February 11th. No idea at all. Couldn't fucking tell you. I did not exist digitally that day. I didn't spend any money. I didn't do anything for that day, and I just have a blank day. And it's kind of fun in that way, just having one random blank day. But for the most part, I do try to enter something. And I also try to pair it with some ephemera from what I found. Whether it's a drawing of that day or maybe a sticker I received or a business card. It's been really, really refreshing. And that was the 5-year memory journal. I would say for me, in level of importance, the Moleskine Journal is the most important. It's just a good way for me to decompress. I get the most use out of it. It really helps me to be able to accomplish what I want to in life. However, as an artist, sketchbooks are one of the most critical things to my practice. I'm a very planning kind of artist. I don't just work freely, unfortunately. So having a sketchbook like this Moleskine extra large really helps me a lot. I specifically get the Moleskine sketchbooks for drawing. They are completely different to the Moleskine journals. The journals have really thin paper, while the sketchbooks, I can throw pencil, ink, paint into this thing, and it handles it all absolutely lovely. This is my fourth one of these in this size in the last few years. I love it. There's definitely cheaper ones that I could get. This is very overpriced, but at this point, I don't care. I just love it. I won't go too deep into this. I might end up doing a full video later, but I have a combination of sketches. This was an idea for a sculpture. I also have, here's some more sketches for a sculpture that eventually turned into this drawing, which then turned into this sculpture on screen. Or another example would be this painting that turned into this color scheme, which I made that pink, exploring all these different shades of red. And then I wanted to use this ratio, and that turned into this painting on screen. It's also really helpful when I just want to explore rough ideas or new techniques. I think in the future, I'd love to give a sketchbook tour, but this by far is the most important kind of tool in my entire art practice. I think without sketchbooks, I would be a lot more lost. I feel like I'm able to more confidently work on large, expensive canvases when I've done a lot of drawings beforehand and I kind of know where I'm going. For the most part, it is all kind of drawings with some notes. Sometimes you'll get a bit more, but for the most part, if I'm doing lots of writing about my art practice, I'll write it in the journal, and it will all be marked with stars in the margins, like I mentioned, and that helps me kind of keep track of it all. Next up, I've got the Midori A5 Square sketchbook. I love this. It came out this year by Midori. It's a brand new size for them. However, because it's a new size, it doesn't have the clear cover, so I have to use the original packaging. And as you can see, it's got some dirt. Now for this sketchbook, it functions more like an art therapy book for me. Last year, I brought a cheap watercolor notebook and found myself painting in it in the evenings as a really good way to kind of calm down and just kind of unwind from the day. It was a great alternative to journaling. They both kind of allow me to get to the same place, but in a very different way. So once I'd filled that, I was kind of looking for another one, and that's where this one comes in place. So compared to my art practice, which is very kind of abstract and loose and science fiction, these are a lot more kind of, I'll just show you. So they're just little paintings of plants. They're really nothing spectacular, I don't think. And I don't think you'll rarely, if ever, see these on social media. They are just almost like doodles, I guess. I don't think of them as for me, proper art or exploring my real ideas, but they are just lovely and fun to do. So I really like them for that reason, but this is definitely it's art therapy rather than art with a capital A. Lastly, I've got one more product. It's the A5. It has the exact same clear cover on this as well as this one. I was thinking, so this is an A5 Midori paper lined notebook. I was thinking I might use these sort of notebooks in the future for my journals, because I just love these clear covers. They're just such an easier way to keep things clean, and also just a lot thinner than that really chunky journal I showed earlier. This book is actually for a completely different purpose. This is I'm calling it my painting research notes. So one thing I found is often when I'm scrolling on Instagram, there'll be a lot of artists who I really enjoy their practice, and I'll double tap and just keep scrolling. And I find that when I'm sitting in an exhibition with a painting, but I feel like I'll spend much more time focused on a painting, kind of exploring it. And on social media, I just kind of see it, hit it, like it, and then move on. And there's something about having a painting that spent like 50 hours right next to like a cat or a fail video all together on one timeline that feels really odd, and I don't like it. So this book was specifically designed for me to help me kind of slow down and appreciate a painting that I've seen online. So the way it works is I place a photo of a painting I've found, put in all the metadata like title, year, artist, size, materials, and then just like some ideas of how I feel about it. I've used these little pencil marks to then refer to my notes, but I've done a couple of these. I think one thing I'm finding interesting though is if I really like the painting, I'm going to write a lot about it. Sometimes one page isn't enough, while other times one page is too much. But I do want to have large photos so I can really see the paintings. So far, I've really enjoyed it. I think I definitely underused this out of all of the journals, but it's not an idea that I feel like I'm going to let go of. I've had other journals that I've kind of come and gone, but this one feels really important. As I was going for a walk today, I saved a few more paintings on Instagram that I think I'm going to write about. So here we have it, my 6 journals and diaries and planners and sketchbooks that I use frequently. I don't know, maybe it's a bit excessive, maybe it's not enough. I've definitely fallen down some deep, deep holes of YouTube journalers. And for some people, this is huge. For other people, this is nothing. I've definitely, throughout the year, kind of pulled back. Like when I took this one out of rotation in June, it was really helpful to kind of declutter, figure out what I need, and then build back up. So this is what I'm currently using at the moment. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to leave any comments about the amount of journals I'm using, or if you like any of the ideas of these journals, or what do you use? I would love to kind of pick some people's brains. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.